Ryan Day admits he knew when the Buckeyes were going to win the national championship this past season, and the answer may surprise you. Brad Stevens continues to say no to Indiana basketball. And Tom Izzo finally got his record, plus our top 10 Big Ten observations for the weekend. We're loaded. Thanks for stopping by here. When former Ohio State football coach and Fox football analyst Urban Meyer speaks, people take note of what he says, including us here at Locked On Big Ten. So naturally, anytime he does an interview, he's going to be asked to make predictions about college football and whether the Buckeyes can repeat as national champions. It's just standard issue to any interview he does between now and the beginning of next season. And the Buckeyes look to be in the mix with another talented roster. But he seems to like Texas. He always likes Texas. Over a year ago, he said the most talented roster in college football was Texas. That was going into 2024. But then he changed his mind, remember? Which, by the way, he's allowed to do. He said that Ohio State had the best roster in football, which they did. And as I recall, when he said that, we here at Locked On Big Ten said, oh, snap, that's going to be a problem for Ryan Day. As if Ryan Day didn't have enough pressure on him already going into last season. Yeah, with the Michigan thing and people rumbling how it had been since 2014, since Ohio State won a national championship, and boosters spending $20 million to put this 2024 roster together. Expectations at Ohio State were through the roof. They always are, though. Then you got the former coach, who's a legend, Urban Meyer, the last coach to win a national championship at Ohio State, and the third of his career, by the way, and a guy who always beat Michigan. And then he says Ohio State has the best roster going into 2024, maybe since his old roster in 2014. Maybe it was better than that. That's all. Just add more pressure. Just add more pressure to Ryan Day, right? And after saying all that, you got to win it all. If that 2014 team was one of the best teams ever, and now this roster going in the season was going to be better, you got to win a championship. Ryan Day had to deliver this year, and he did. So no such pressure this year, right? Maybe. I mean, kind of starting over. I got a young quarterback, which we'll get to in a minute. But Urban Meyer thinks that Texas is the team to beat in 2025. And he loves Steve Sarkisian's roster, even though they lost key players, even though they lost their starting quarterback, Quinn Ewers. But don't worry, Arch Manning, the most popular backup quarterback in America for the last 2 years, is finally going to get his turn and take over that program. And Urban likes their chances. But he also likes Ohio State to some extent. He's not ruling them out. Don't get me wrong. He likes Oregon right behind him as well. And heck, we may even have a Texas-Ohio State national championship game. Of course, that'd be a rematch of the incredible playoff game that we just had a month ago. It was amazing. More on that in a minute, too. Urban also likes Tennessee as a dark horse. Another team that Ohio State just handled in the playoffs. But they got Nico Iamaleava at quarterback coming back. And Urban seems to like teams with returning quarterbacks, which is also why he says keep an eye on Penn State with Drew Aller coming back for another season. In fact, he likes them to be maybe like the most improved team in the Big Ten. And that was the team that came within a field goal of beating Notre Dame and getting into the national championship game. Improved from that? Well, expectations are on Penn State this year too. But if Urban is so fond of quarterbacks that are returning, then maybe that's why he's holding back just a little bit from picking the Buckeyes to repeat. I mean, Will Howard's gone. He was a one and done. He was a fifth-year senior when he came in. He came in, he did his job, got the national championship. Now he's off. He's gone. And the Buckeyes have a pretty good quarterback situation brewing. Great storyline. In fact, I think we're going to talk about this more this week here on Locked On Big Ten. We got redshirt freshman Julian Sayin, the transfer from Alabama, ready to go, waiting in the wings. Don't forget former four-star like a Kienholz. Going to get a strong look this spring in spring football. And then, depending on how things go, may make a decision about transferring. We'll see how things go here this spring. Don't forget, there's 5-star true freshman Tavien St. Clair, going to draw a lot of interest this spring as well, but he's expected a red shirt as of now. And again, we'll take a deeper look into this Ohio State quarterback situation moving forward because it is exciting for Buckeyes fans. But we'll get into that later on. But back to these national championship predictions, which all started with Urban Meyer's comments. In case you were wondering, Vegas odds makers, they're fond of Ohio State. They like them to repeat national champions. Plus 500. That's a good get there. Texas at plus 550. Georgia and Oregon are at plus 650. So one more thought, though, on this past championship for Ohio State. In a recent interview on a Columbus TV station, Coach Ryan Day admitted that he knew exactly when this team was going to go all the way and win a national championship. And it wasn't during the Notre Dame game in the championship game. It was before that. But first, before we get into that, before we do that, let's do a quick reset here because from the beginning of the season, there was so much pressure that we all just alluded to here just 2 minutes ago. And everything that was going on going into that season. Then there was the 1-point loss at Oregon where it felt like expectations were starting to slip away. And everything that followed that. But you know what? You could absorb that. A 1-point loss to a ranked team on the road like Oregon. No problem. You're still in the mix. I mean, it didn't feel like it at the time, but you're still in the mix. They can recover from that. Just win the rest of your game. Just win the rest of your games. You'll be fine. Of course, there was the season finale to the team up north. At home. A game you were favored by 3 touchdowns and lost. Oops. Now it kind of felt like things were getting dark at Ohio State, right? I'm sure Ryan Day wasn't too fond of popping his head out of his office at that point. At that point, there seemed to be trouble brewing. There was going to be no Big Ten championship. There was the loss against the rival. And an early exit in the playoffs could be problematic for Ryan Day. Maybe at that point. We're going to go back in time and remember. I mean, things changed. They did. But that's when everybody at Woody Hayes Hall, they dug down deep. And then they came out of it and went on that amazing playoff run. Completely turned the season around. So at what point did Ryan Day know that his fortunes were going to change at Ohio State? At what point did he know he was winning a national championship? Jack Sawyer. That defensive stand that the Buckeyes made late in that Texas game where the Longhorns looked like they had momentum and they were going to tie the game late. Jack Sawyer made the strip sack of Quinn Ewers, recovered it, and returned it 83 yards for the scoop and scored to seal the game. Jack Sawyer. Remember, Jack Sawyer said after the Michigan game, he couldn't go out in public in Columbus without being harassed at restaurants. Couldn't go get a burger on campus without people saying something to him. He went from that to the fact that they'll probably make a statue of that guy commemorating that play before it's all said and done. One of the greatest plays in the entire history of Ohio State football. There's going to be a statue of him outside the horseshoe. And it was that play. That's when Ryan Day said, you know what? This is a team of destiny. We're going to win the national championship against all odds. That's when he knew. Buckeyes fans, let's hear from you. Always love to hear from your thoughts and comments on all that. Hey, be sure to subscribe down below and follow Locked On Big Ten for free wherever you get your podcast. That way you get the latest episode of this podcast as soon as it becomes available each and every day. And if you don't mind, share, follow, and like. That helps us out as well. Don't forget, you can pick up some Big Ten gear. We're talking about Ohio State. You want some Ohio State shirts and pennants. It's all right there on our website where all of our podcasts get collected at talkbig10.com. Talkbig10.com. So I can appreciate you checking that out if you don't mind. All right. Why does Brad Stevens keep turning down the Indiana Hoosiers to become their basketball coach? Why do they keep asking? Tom Izzo finally gets his record, winning as coach in Big Ten history, and we'll have our top 10 Big Ten observations from the weekend. That's all coming up right here on Locked On Big Ten, your team every day. FanDuel makes watching games even more exciting. Now we're into NBA action coming off the All-Star break here, and there's no better place to get in on the action than with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. With FanDuel, you can place live bets during the game. Even if you miss the opening tip-off, no problem. Jump in the middle and jump in on the action. Maybe a fourth quarter comeback is coming. No lead is safe in the NBA. You can be up by 18 in the second half. We've seen teams blow leads like that. Get in on the action with FanDuel. So check it out. Whether you're looking for a bigger payout, you can even combine live bets into a same-game parlay. All kinds of stuff, all kinds of fun, easy to navigate there. Right now, new FanDuel customers can get $150 in bonus bets on your first $5 bet if it wins. And just visit FanDuel.com and join today. That's FanDuel.com for your shot at $150 in bonus bets. Make every more with FanDuel. By the way, coming off the All-Star break, action resumes for the regular season Wednesday with a Hornets-Lakers game. That's a makeup from one of those games canceled from the fires in LA. Most of the league resumes on Thursday. So check it all out. Make every moment more with FanDuel, the official sportsbook betting partner of the NBA.